What happens when a beloved Hollywood actor discovers that a late-night talk show host has been spreading rumors about his personal life behind the scenes? The answer involves one of the most explosive confrontations ever captured on live television. And tonight we're breaking down exactly how Dax Shepard went from promotional guest to persona non grata in under 20 minutes. Before we dive into this incredible story, make sure you hit that subscribe button and drop a comment below telling me which celebrity feud surprised you the most. Your engagement helps us bring you more of these behind-the-scenes stories that the mainstream media won't touch. Dax Shepard walked onto the Jimmy Kimmel Live set that Tuesday evening, expecting nothing more than a routine promotional appearance for his latest podcast venture. He had been on the show multiple times before, always maintaining that easygoing rapport that made him such a popular guest across the late-night circuit. What he didn't know was that Jimmy Kimmel had spent the better part of the previous week making jokes about Shepard's marriage to Kristen Bell during his monologue, jokes that had started to cross the line from playful ribbing into genuinely mean-spirited territory. The tension was palpable from the moment Shepard took his seat. Kimmel opened with what seemed like his usual banter, asking about Shepard's recent projects and family life. But there was something different in his tone, a subtle edge that suggested he was building toward something bigger. Shepard, being the seasoned performer he is, played along initially, laughing at the appropriate moments, and giving the kind of charming responses that audiences expect. "So, Dax," Kimmel said with that trademark smirk, "I've been hearing some interesting stories about you lately. Some people are saying that success has really changed you, that you're not the same down-to-earth guy you used to be." The studio audience chuckled, but Shepard's expression shifted slightly. This wasn't the direction he had expected the interview to take, and certainly not something they had discussed during the pre-interview prep. Shepard leaned forward in his chair, his media-trained smile still in place, but his eyes showing the first signs of confusion. "I'm not sure what you mean by that, Jimmy. I think I'm pretty much the same person I've always been. Maybe you could be more specific about what you're referring to." The response was diplomatic, professional, exactly what any seasoned celebrity would say when faced with an unexpected line of questioning. But Kimmel wasn't backing down. If anything, he seemed energized by Shepard's measured response. "Well, there are rumors going around that you've been pretty demanding on set lately, that you've developed quite the ego since your podcast took off. Some people are even saying that your wife has to constantly manage your behavior at industry events." The audience laughed again, but this time there were a few uncomfortable murmurs mixed in. Shepard's jaw tightened almost imperceptibly. Anyone who knew him well would have recognized that as a warning sign, but Kimmel either didn't notice or didn't care. "Jimmy, I have to say I'm a little surprised by this line of questioning. We've known each other for years, and you've never brought up any concerns about my behavior before. Are you getting your information from reliable sources, or are we just repeating gossip now?" The host's response would prove to be the spark that ignited everything that followed. Instead of backing down or acknowledging that maybe he had pushed too far, Kimmel doubled down with a comment that would change the entire trajectory of the interview. "Oh, come on, Dax. Everyone in this town talks. And what they're saying is that success has gone to your head. I mean, look at you right now, getting all defensive over a few harmless jokes. Maybe there's more truth to it than you want to admit." That was the moment when Shepard's carefully maintained composure began to crack. His voice remained level, but there was steel underneath it now. "Harmless jokes? Jimmy, you're sitting here on national television repeating unsubstantiated rumors about my character and my marriage. How exactly is that harmless? And more importantly, why are you doing it? What's the purpose here?" Kimmel seemed almost gleeful at having gotten under Shepard's skin. "The purpose is entertainment, Dax. This is a comedy show, remember? Maybe if you could take a joke the way you used to, we wouldn't be having this problem." The audience was noticeably quieter now, sensing that this had moved beyond typical late-night banter into something more serious and uncomfortable. Shepard sat back in his chair, and for a moment the studio fell into an uncomfortable silence. When he spoke again, his voice carried a weight that hadn't been there before. "You know what, Jimmy? I think I understand what's happening here. You've been making jokes about me and my family during your monologues, haven't you? For weeks now. And tonight you thought you'd continue that in person. Maybe get some viral moments out of it." Kimmel's expression flickered for just an instant, a tell that confirmed Shepard's suspicions. But the host quickly recovered, leaning back in his chair with exaggerated casualness. "I make jokes about everyone, Dax. That's literally my job. If you can't handle being part of the cultural conversation, maybe you shouldn't be in this business." The condescension in Kimmel's tone was unmistakable now, and it seemed to flip a switch in Shepard. The cultural conversation? Is that what we're calling spreading rumors about someone's personal life now? Because I've been in this business long enough to know the difference between comedy and character assassination, and what you've been doing lately falls pretty clearly into the second category. Kimmel's laugh was sharp and humorless. Character assassination? Really, Dax? You're being a little dramatic, don't you think? I've made a few jokes about Hollywood egos, and suddenly, I'm destroying your reputation? Maybe the problem isn't what I'm saying. Maybe the problem is that it hits a little too close to home. That comment seemed to push Shepard past his breaking point. He leaned forward, his elbows on his knees, and when he spoke, his voice was quiet, but carried clearly through the studio. "Jimmy, I came here tonight as a friend. We've done this dance before. We've had good interviews. We've laughed together. But what you're doing right now, this isn't friendship. This isn't even professional. You're using your platform to spread gossip about my marriage, about my character. And when I call you on it, you hide behind the excuse that it's comedy." Kimmel's mask was slipping now too. The jovial host persona was giving way to something harder, more defensive. "I'm not hiding behind anything, Dax. I'm doing my job, which is to entertain people. And part of that job is commenting on celebrity culture, including celebrities who think they're above being commented on. If you don't like it, there's the door." The studio audience was dead silent now. Even the band members looked uncomfortable, shifting in their seats as they watched this public friendship implode in real time. Shepard nodded slowly, as if Kimmel had just confirmed something he had suspected. "There it is. The real Jimmy Kimmel. You know what's interesting? You talk about celebrity egos, but what I'm seeing right now is a man who's so comfortable with his own power that he thinks he can say whatever he wants about whoever he wants. Consequences be damned." Kimmel's face was flushing now, his carefully maintained composure finally cracking. "My power? Dax, you're sitting on my show, promoting your projects to my audience. If anyone's benefiting from power dynamics here, it's you. And the fact that you can't see that just proves my point about how success has changed you." Shepard stood up then, slowly and deliberately. The movement sent a ripple of tension through the studio, and the camera operators scrambled to adjust their shots. "You want to talk about power dynamics, Jimmy? Let's talk about them. You have a platform that reaches millions of people every night. You have writers, producers, a whole team whose job it is to amplify whatever message you want to send. And you've been using that platform to spread rumors about my personal life, to make jokes at my expense, all while pretending it's just harmless entertainment." Kimmel was standing now too, his host demeanor completely abandoned. "Those aren't rumors, Dax. They're observations. And if you don't like people observing your behavior, maybe you should think about changing it instead of coming on here and lecturing me about how to do my job." The confrontation had reached a fever pitch, with both men facing off across the interview area, while the studio audience sat in stunned silence. Shepard's voice when he responded was controlled but filled with barely contained anger. "My behavior? Jimmy, my behavior right now is calling out a friend who decided to throw our friendship away for a few cheap laughs. My behavior is standing." Up for my family when someone with a national platform decides to make them the butt of his jokes night after night. What happened next would become the moment that defined the entire confrontation. Kimmel, perhaps realizing that he had pushed too far, but unable to back down without losing face, made the decision to escalate rather than de-escalate. You know what, Dax? Maybe your family wouldn't be such an easy target if they weren't constantly putting themselves out there for attention. You and Kristen are always doing interviews, always sharing personal details, always making your private life public. You can't have it both ways. The mention of his wife seemed to be the final straw for Shepard. His voice, when he responded, was deadly quiet. You just crossed a line that you can't uncross, Jimmy. Talking about me is one thing. I signed up for this business. I can handle whatever criticism comes my way. But bringing my wife into this, suggesting that she's somehow asking for negative attention, that's not comedy. That's not entertainment. That's just cruel. Kimmel seemed to realize his mistake the moment the words left his mouth, but pride kept him from backing down. It's not cruel, it's honest. You both make careers out of sharing your personal lives, and then you get upset when people comment on what you've shared. That's not how this works, Dax. Shepard shook his head, a look of genuine disappointment replacing the anger on his face. You know what the saddest part about this is, Jimmy? I actually defended you when people said you were becoming mean-spirited. I told them that underneath all the jokes, you were still a good guy who cared about people. I was wrong. The host's response revealed just how far their relationship had deteriorated. Maybe you were wrong about a lot of things, Dax. Maybe that's been your problem all along. Kimmel turned to address his audience directly, something that felt like a deliberate attempt to exclude Shepard from the conversation. Ladies and gentlemen, this is what happens when celebrities start believing their own publicity. That comment seemed to galvanize Shepard in a way that all the previous insults hadn't. You want to know what happens when celebrities believe their own publicity, Jimmy? They start thinking they can say whatever they want about whoever they want without consequences. They start thinking their platform gives them the right to hurt people for entertainment. They start thinking that being famous means never having to apologize for being cruel. Kimmel spun back toward him, his face red with anger. Are you calling me cruel? Me? You're the one who came on my show and turned a simple interview into some kind of moral crusade. You're the one who can't take a joke anymore. You're the one whose ego has gotten so big that you think everyone should treat you with kid gloves. Shepard's laugh was bitter. Kid gloves? Jimmy, all I asked for was basic human decency. The same kind of respect you'd show any other guest, any other friend. But apparently that's too much to ask from someone who's decided that being mean is more important than being kind. The breaking point came when Kimmel, perhaps sensing that he was losing the audience's sympathy, made one final desperate attempt to regain control of the narrative. You know what, Dax? I think this interview is over. I think maybe you should leave my show and go find someone who's willing to kiss your ego the way you obviously need it kissed. Shepard nodded slowly, as if he had been expecting exactly that. Response. You're right, Jimmy. This interview is over. But not because my ego needs kissing. It's over because you've shown your true colors tonight, and they're not colors I want to be associated with. He began removing his microphone, his movements deliberate and final. Kimmel, perhaps realizing too late that he had pushed things too far, made a last-ditch attempt to salvage the situation. Dax, come on, sit back down. Let's finish this like professionals. But there was no conviction in his voice, and everyone in the studio could hear it. Shepard paused in his movement toward the exit, turning back to face Kimmel one last time. Professionals, Jimmy. Professionals don't ambush their guests with personal attacks. Professionals don't spread rumors about their friends' marriages for laughs. Professionals don't use their platform to hurt people and then hide behind the excuse that it's just entertainment. As Shepard walked toward the exit, Kimmel made one final comment that would be replayed countless times in the days that followed. Don't let the door hit you on the way out, Dax. Maybe next time you'll remember that this is my show, and if you don't like how I run it, you don't have to come back." Shepard stopped at the edge of the stage, turned back one last time, and delivered what would become the most quoted line from the entire confrontation. "You're right, Jimmy. It is your show. And after tonight, everyone watching will know exactly what kind of show it really is." The studio fell into complete silence as Shepard disappeared behind the curtain, leaving Kimmel standing alone on his stage, facing an audience that seemed as stunned as he was by what they had just witnessed. The host attempted to recover, to make light of what had happened, but the damage was done. The mask had slipped, and there was no putting it back on. And there you have it, the complete breakdown of one of the most explosive confrontations in late-night television history. What did you think of how both men handled the situation? Drop a comment below, and let me know which moment shocked you the most. And don't forget to subscribe for more behind-the-scenes stories that reveal what really happens when the cameras are rolling.